Hi everyone, Amy here with amyswares, and today I'm going to do some fiddly die cutting and I'm going to show you how I save some time. Now I got this adorable shapes die set from scrapbook.com. I have some paper and blending brushes. Here's the finished card. This was so fun. I didn't really use any batched items, so this was kind of beginning to end card making, which I don't often do, but I'm showing you my process with these fiddly dies. I often buy them because I'm drawn to them, but oftentimes they sit in my craft room because I don't necessarily have the patience. So I'm going to show you one thing that I do here that helps me kind of save some time. I'm not interested in running a bunch of different passes through my die cutting machine to use colored cardstock on all these other little pieces. So what I'm doing here, this biggest time saver, is I'm creating the situation where I only need to run these dies all together through my die cutting machine one time. So this is obviously optional. You could do it the way I'm doing here with either just smushing ink to create my own custom colored cardstock, or ink blending with residual ink from my blending brushes. Or you could even just scribble down some marker. Maybe you have some water-based markers or Copic markers or whatever. You can just scribble and essentially create your own colored cardstock all within like one sheet of white cardstock, and then you only need to run it through your die cutting machine once. So this is one of the biggest ways to save time when it comes to these little fiddly dies. So I'm just going to use some mint tape and tape this all down and run it through the one single time through my die cutting machine, and then I will have all the pieces ready to go. Now, as you can see, because I smushed that brown ink down, I kind of getting ink everywhere because I'm being messy. So that's just my user error here, not letting it dry completely. But basically, I have all these little pieces now already colored out. I am going to kind of deepen it up, and I'll show you what I do there. But again, I'm just kind of pulling all these pieces out. Now, this is my makeshift workstation. This is a sticky mat from Altenew. Just using it to hold down these die cuts so I can add a little bit more dimension. So I'm just coming back and adding a little bit more residual ink from my blending brushes just to kind of really amp up the color on these die cut pieces and just to kind of give it a little bit more dimension. I was trying to get rid of a fingerprint on there from that extra brown ink, but I'm coming in even with a little bit of orange. I'm imagining this more like a vanilla ice cream, but I do want to have that yellow, pink, and red for the actual ice cream, and then the cherry. Now here you're probably shocked that I'm using liquid glue here. I'm kind of shocked myself. It's hard to avoid the oozage with these super little dainty die cuts, but I felt like it was the best option. I could have tried my micro dots, but I was a little nervous with those little lines being so very thin. There I was showing you another tip. If you have like a two-tone item, I actually just used a green alcohol marker and colored in the stem of that cherry. So that's another time-saving tip. Or just to basically create something two-tone on an otherwise single layer die. So now I have all the little pieces parts. I'm just going to use liquid glue to kind of glue these together. I'm just putting glue on the actual cone itself rather than that dollop of ice cream because I don't want extra glue hanging off the edge. So the vanilla one, I'm kind of deliberately going lopsided, and then I'm just going to put glue on the little actual cherry circle portion itself and just glue that down. So I'm just going to use my block to hold that down and let the glue kind of cure a little bit. Now here is another tip. I would definitely recommend a white gel pen. This is really going to amp up your die cuts and bring them to the next level. So these little simple highlights, it doesn't take any artistic skill, but it really does make a huge difference when it comes to your card making. So if you don't have one of these white gel pens, I definitely recommend it. Now here I have some thin strips from Tailored Expressions. I really wanted the You're the Sweetest thing, but I didn't have any in pink. I only had that teal. So I thought, well, I'll bring in the teal in the background. And I was looking in my background box to see if I could save even more time and find a background that I already made, but I couldn't. So I found this awesome stencil from A Colorful Life Designs in my stash, and I'm just using again some residual ink on my teal blending brush right on a card base just to kind of bring in that teal color and tie in that die cut of the sentiment, because that's the what I really wanted it to say. I really wanted to use that "You're the sweetest thing." So I did end up actually continuing that design on the inside of the card. I'll show you in a little bit. But I'm dealing with some foam tape here. This was a little bit fiddly. I probably made it more complicated than I needed to, but I'm just cutting down a bunch of 1-inch foam tape from scrapbook.com. This is the 2mm thick. And I'm just kind of putting that all over the back just to kind of give it some dimension since I'm working directly on the card base. Then I'm going to put some liquid glue in the center of that strip and some foam tape on the ends so that it kind of pops up the same dimension as the ice cream cone, and then I'm just going to kind of lay that over the top. So I'm just putting these little foam bits right on the ends just to kind of support it so that it doesn't get crushed down in shipping. This was a little fiddly. I did have to kind of adjust this a little bit off screen just to make sure it was right, but I did end up getting it to work the way I wanted it to, and I just put that right across the cute little tilted ice cream cone. Now I get to pick the bling that works best. This is also from A Colorful Life Designs. Now, if you shop anything from A Colorful Life Designs, be sure to use my coupon AmyFan10 at checkout, and you'll save 10% on your complete order. And you can use that for anything in the shop other than the Master Creator bundles. So be sure to take advantage of that if you do check out that amazing small woman-owned business. Now I'm just figuring out which one. There's so many options that would have worked, but I did ultimately go with opaque iridescent. I can't remember, that went too fast. I'll put it in the video description box below, but here's the inside. I put another simple strip, and that finishes the card. So thank you so much for spending time with me. If you enjoyed this, please do hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing. It really does help me out. I'll link everything in the video description box below, and that helps me out as well if you follow my links. And I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.